The Columbia Broadcasting System and its affiliated stations present Orson Welles and the Mercury Theater on the Air in The War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells.
Damn and blast, shut that off. This is Mr. H.G. Wells. Welcome to our little play. Please silence those infernal telephone contraptions. Thank you, and enjoy the show. Damn and blast! Just a minute.
Good evening, Mr. Wells. I'm here as a peace offering.
I'm sorry, do I know you?
I'm Orson Welles.
I should have known your voice.
Yes, I'm here to, as we say in America, bury the hatchet. Would you like to come out for a drink?
I don't think so, Mr.
Might I come in, man? It's rather wet out here.
I really don't think there's anything to say.
You turned me out in the rain. I thought the English gentlemen were known the world over for their unfailing politeness.
Then it may interest you to know I'm not above all you little shit and closing the door.
Mr. Wells, I'm shocked. I have a gift for you. I didn't come empty-handed. Come now, you must be more interested than that.
I beg your pardon?
Don't you want to know what I have for you?
Haven't I made myself clear?
I know you're interested because you didn't latch the door.
The latch hold you back.
Everyone likes an unexpected gift.
No one likes an unexpected interruption.
I was at your speech tonight. I know how much you respect reason and the intellect. What I offer you is a gift of the intellect.
Very well, come in quickly. I am busy.
Quite the drizzle. Reminds me of a night when I was in Ireland. I was sleeping on the beach, the wish-wash of the waves lulling me to sleep. I was there with a donkey I'd hired to tramp the hills outside Galway, when suddenly the skies opened and we were thoroughly drenched. There was nothing to do but pack up and move on, so eventually we found our way to a barn where a ceilidh was going on. You know that word.
I've heard of it.
It's a nice word. In America we call it a hootenanny.
Mr. Wells.
It must have been about 2 a.m. Oh, I'm sorry. Must have been about 2 a.m. and the party was in full swing. I was dry in no time, and the donkey certainly appreciated the bed of straw they made up for him in the corner. You know, I never felt as at home anywhere in the world as I did in Ireland. Have you ever been to Ireland?
No.
Oh, what a shame. It's like visiting the moon, another world.
Quite. What is it I can help you with, Mr. Wells?
Help me? Not at all, old sport. I simply came to apologize and make my peace with you. I was a naughty boy. I borrowed your story for my little radio show without asking your permission about changing it.
Quite.
I haven't forgotten that you wanted to sue me.
It was 2 years ago.
It's just to the day, almost to the very day.
And I didn't sue you, so you needn't have bothered.
I get these enthusiasms sometimes, Mr. Wells. I'm quite like a child. And I loved the War of the Worlds, and I felt it belonged to me because I loved it so.
But it did not belong to you.
No, of course not.
It's not in the public domain. I'm not dead.
You're in the prime of life.
I'm 75.
Wonderful. I'm 25. I must seem like a boy to you.
Not really.
No? Well, anyway, why don't we go down this road away? There's a pretty little pub. We could have a drink to, I don't know, not being dead.
I'm not much of a drinker, and as it is rather drizzly.
Yes, it is rather.
You said you had a gift for me.
Yes. It's a ticket to my speech tomorrow night at the Ladies Amateur Dramatic Club. Gentlemen, welcome also. I hope to see you there.
Very thoughtful. Very touching.
Now, how about that drink?
Here, I'll tell you what. The men at the brewery where I made my speech tonight gifted me with a bottle of Kentucky bourbon. Why don't you take it back to your room and you can enjoy it while the rain falls down?
Old chap, you don't mean that I should drink this alone, do you? I'm not quite my father's son to that degree.
I see.
Anyway, why don't we crack it open here and have a toast to artistic collaboration? This will be a real treat, especially if you've never had real Kentucky bourbon. There! A toast to immortality.
Immortality?
The immortal arts.
Cheers. What brings you to San Antonio, Mr. Wells? I came to give a speech to the Brewers Association.
I know, I was there.
You weren't following me.
Following you? No. No, I want a lecture tour myself. Quite the coincidence, us being here at the same time. One for the history books. At any rate, I enjoy touring the country, don't you?
It's always interesting, as a journalist.
A journalist? Do you consider yourself a journalist, foremost?
Yes, I do, which should have been obvious in my articles these past few years.
Fascinating. You know, I'm playing a journalist in this film I'm making. We're calling it Citizen Kane. I play the owner and editor of a newspaper.
If you're in the middle of making this film, why are you suddenly touring the country giving lectures?
It's simple. I'm running out of money. RKO won't give us the next chunk of their investment until we're editing, and I'm still shooting. Besides, I'm running low on cash, don't you know? But don't worry. Once this film comes out, I'll have investors lining up. I won't be a struggling artist any longer. You were poor once, weren't you?
I had some difficult jobs as a boy.
That's right. You had to fight to stake your claim.
That's right. And you understand journalism, Mr. Wells?
What do you mean?
The search for the truth.
Ah, yes, truth. What is truth?
You take it lightly,
Not
don't you?
at all. I just don't find truth to be very much fun.
You had a great deal of fun when you had fun with your radio broadcast.
Yes, of course, it was always good
Your
fun.
radio play resulted in a national panic.
It did,
No,
of
what's
course,
worse,
but I don't see why
you're lying about how
Lie?
much you
I did not
Mr.
lie.
Wells, shall we get to the point?
The
Enough
point?
reason why you invaded my room.
I recall being invited
apologized, and
inside.
I accepted your apology.
Did you? I don't
That's
recall
all
you accepting
yeah.
anything.
What is it exactly you're looking for?
Well, the thing is, there's a radio station here in town that somehow got wind of the fact that you and I are here at the same time, and they would like to do a joint interview. And I thought, what a capital idea that was. What a great bit of publicity for the both of us.
I don't need publicity.
Everyone needs publicity, Mr.
Haven't
Wells.
you ridden my coattails enough?
Eyes through the shoulders of a giant.
Don't have to pander, I won't be manipulated.
No, of course not.
I'm not interested in rehashing your little spree of 2 years ago. It's water over the dam.
People still talk about it.
Soon forgotten and for the best.
Mr. Hitler mentioned it in his Munich speech, a sign of the decadence of our Western democracies.
Well, not ours. You're on your own in this. Am I supposed to be proud of this bastard child of my book? I'd be happy never to hear of the War of the Worlds again.
A history, Mr. Wells.
It would be my worst nightmare, only to be remembered for something I wrote almost 50 years ago at the beginning of my career. I've written many books.
The Time Machine, The Invisible Man, The Island of Dr. Moreau, classics, all of them.
Those were all from my early days. I was your age, or only a bit older. How would you like it if your most famous venture was your production of Julius Caesar? Or your radio play? What if this movie you're making were the peak of your career? Peaked at only 25.
Peaked? I haven't started.
Nor have I. Listen to me now. The truth is, we never stop feeling that way. No matter how far we've come, it's as if we're just starting every time. I feel no differently. Every new project is as fresh and new as the first. That fire never burns out. There's always a fresh match in the box. We aren't young or old. We're always being born every day with new eyes, new ears. That is our mission, our obligation, and our joy.
Thank you for saying our. I'm honored.
Yes, I include you. Perhaps not yet, but you'll earn the right eventually.
I only hope for as long a career as you.
You want my advice?
Yes.
Stick with the truth. Be honest with others and yourself.
I hope I am.
Are you really? You'll have to prove it to me.
Must be a Bible around here somewhere. Here. I'll swear to you on this.
I don't believe in any Bible.
I don't have a Quran. Here. This newspaper, you respect journalism. Hold it out. I solemnly swear on this newspaper, the emblem of truth, that I will be honest with you. Trustworthy, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent.
You aren't quite serious.
I promise.
You don't want some Boy Scout oath?
What do you
At
want?
the moment, a secretary. I rented this typewriter, and it's an infernal
I've
contraption.
been typing since I was a boy. I'd be happy to type up your essay.
Stop! Damn thing's broken.
You need to rewind the ribbon.
Rewind.
It comes to the end, and then you rewind it. See?
What a nuisance! Is this progress? Give me a pen any day. The lovely scratch of the paper. How can you think over this clatter?
I love to think over the clatter. That staccato punch, pounding up one's next masterpiece. You feel like you're making something real, something visceral. I would have loved to pound out this way on the piano as a child. My mother was a concert pianist.
Naturally.
She was. That was her destiny for me as well, wanted me to be a musician. I remember when I was 7, I got up from that blasted piano, walked to the edge of the balcony, and threatened to jump if I had to practice anymore.
You lived to tell the tale.
Now, my teacher went to tell my mother in the next room. She just replied in a calm voice, "Then let him jump." So I went back to my lesson.
Does she still play?
Oh, no. No, she died when I was 9. She arranged a very dramatic and theatrical farewell on my birthday. Oh, it was all very Shakespearean. Picture it. She's lying in her bed. She knows she doesn't have long. She calls me in. The cake is brought. She recites Shakespeare in the dark. The 9 candles are lit, and she tells me to be sure to blow them all out and to make a wish. I blow them out. I expect to hear her voice. That was it. And the lights came on, she was gone. Unconscious. She died 2 days later, never awakening again. And then I realized I'd forgotten to make a wish. What would you have wished for in that moment?
I suppose for her to speak again.
Yes, to speak. And to hear my voice again.
No, that's the narcissism of you.
Yes, I suppose. But the theatricality of what she'd arranged. She must have meant for me to take a page from that, to make theater of one's life. It's beyond anything I've ever done. What about for you? Was there a moment when you realized you wanted to be a storyteller?
A storyteller? You think I'm a mere storyteller?
Storytelling's so low.
I'm no base storyteller, never was and never wanted to be.
What did you want to be?
There's no need to use the past tense.
What do you want to be?
What do you think I am? Always have been. Always will be. I only wanted to change the world, no less. Never less than that. You know nothing.
The world is changed by stories, isn't it?
But much more than that. Much more. What do you care about it? You're merely an entertainer.
It was much more than just entertainment, our War of the Worlds. Laws were enacted, actual laws. One is no longer allowed to structure a story as a news broadcast. We made people think about how radio could be used.
Wasn't we? You went off on your own. I could have contributed. I would have made a better story if it
Yes,
invited me.
and I'm sorry I didn't.
And it wasn't such a nationwide panic. People aren't stupid. You made Americans look like a crowd of idiots. Newspapers all over the world, your face on every cover.
It's a sleep-deprived, bearded face because I had to spend the night in the studio. We were besieged by press and police.
And many people believed it was the Germans invading. Not Martians. The script was rather cruel, playing with Peter's fears.
I didn't actually write the script, you know. I didn't even like it. I thought it was rather dull.
My story,
Not
dull.
your story. The script. I felt challenged as the director to make it interesting, but I think I rose to the occasion.
That's all you have to say about it. You think what's in it on your part? I wrote a whopping good tale. Didn't take any work on your part.
Of course, but updated to the modern era, it took a little bit of...
I didn't write it in the Stone Age. It didn't need updating. I don't need updating. I've been writing 50 years long.
Yes, of course, there was no replacement for experience.
A career isn't built on a flash of inspiration or a whim. It's built up. Dedication. Constant work. The flame that burns the brightest burns out quickest.
Your flame is steady. I can only hope to burn as long.
I still can't help feel there's something of the funeral oration in your attitude. Storyteller?
Storytelling is what convinces people of your point. Of everything that you want to teach them and lead them to think. In history, the winner is the one who told the best story. Look at world leaders. I mean, Hitler.
So Hitler tells the best
To
story.
his followers. So far, only so far.
I feel quite cold at that thought. Fiction can't be more important than fact.
Not more important, more powerful. Like your own stories.
They're probably inventing some kind of atom bomb right now. Stories? Are stories more powerful than bombs?
Our shared human instinct. Our common humanity, how we huddle together around the campfire, sharing the firelight, sharing those stories. That matters, doesn't it?
We aren't cavemen. So we left those caves. I won't be defined by some silly stories I wrote 50 years ago.
Of course not.
I still have a voice.
Of course, what would you say?
I've been saying it for years now. Warning what was going to happen. I predicted this war and this was to come. The damn fools.
We are damn fools, aren't we? You know, you'd be very interested in this film with your great respect for journalism.
Honest journalism, yes. Not much of that going on these
That's
days.
the thing. It's about a man who inherits a newspaper, who comes into great power. It's inspired by Hearst himself.
William Randolph Hearst. You worship Hearst?
No! Oh, it's not a hagiography. It's a real takedown.
You aren't afraid.
No.
Good for you. Jolly good.
It's about a man who conquers the world but loses everything. He loses himself, his youthful ideals. In the end, he's old, alone, and completely lost. He had everything, but as so often happens, he became everything he hated, everything he feared.
Do you think that's what happens to old men?
I don't know.
Your American writer, Booth Tarkington, said something along the lines that 40 understands things he can't make 20 understand.
Magnificent Anderson.
Nor
Yes.
can 60 or 70 talk to 20.
You mean you can't put an old head on young
That's
shoulders?
exactly what I mean. Are you so sure you could pull off this rather ambitious idea?
I have to. Besides, it's so much more than that. This film, there's so many new techniques. Deep focus. In a shot, you normally can't have what's near and far in focus at the same time. That's one of our innovations. And ceilings. All of our sets will have ceilings.
I don't know if I'm excited about a
You
ceiling.
should see my makeup for this movie. They're making me into a proper leading man with a false nose to fix my profile, tape on my neck to lift my jowls, arches in my shoes to fix my flat, awkward feet, even a steel corset. It takes as long in the makeup chair to turn me into a young, handsome lead as it does an old man of 70.
70 isn't so.
No, of course not. It's just, if I could just pull this off. Picture this. We open on a castle. It's night. A fog is rising. An old man drops a snow globe onto the floor from his bed. He's dying. Then he utters his last word.
Rosebud. Rosebud?
Yes, Rosebud. For the rest of the movie, these journalists are trying to figure out why he said that. Why he said Rosebud.
I see. Rosebud.
You want to know, don't you?
Probably some woman he loved.
That's what you think?
So it isn't a woman.
He's had his fair share of scandal.
Of course.
It isn't a woman.
Yeah.
You want to know?
Of course I want to know.
Perhaps I can tell you. Perhaps if we did the interview.
Blast, I couldn't care less about any Rosebud.
You do?
I know you'll tell me eventually because you can't resist. His pet? A dog from his childhood?
Closer.
Is us?
Golden, you were getting there with childhood.
Ah! A lost childhood toy.
Bingo. There you are. You know it.
I am a writer. I know how things go.
Marvelous.
Well, I wish you luck with it.
Thank you.
Well, it is late.
Please, please, allow me to finish typing this up for you. I'd be honored. You like the sound of rolling up the fresh page, huh? Now, this first letter here. My dear Mr. Roosevelt. This will mean something coming from you, a famous writer. More than any ordinary Joe, that is.
Do you think I write him simply out of the blue like some stranger? I'm well acquainted with the president. I've had lunch with him on several occasions. I know these people. I'm not some vacuous celebrity like you. My work matters. It's important.
Of course. What do you discuss with him?
He asks my opinion about the future.
And what do you tell him? I'd be honored to know what H.G. Wells has to say to Mr. Roosevelt.
I have two visions, crystal clear visions in my head. One, what I fear will happen, and the other, what I know could happen if we only came to our senses. I see a world of devastation. The 1950s and 60s will be hopeless, mired in plague and poverty. The war will bring about our worst nightmares, ruin and abject poverty for generations, almost back to the Stone Age.
Was there no hope?
There is. Arising from that, we can come back. This earth will be a paradise. There's no reason anyone need live in poverty or despair. The only thing we ever wanted was sanity. Men with vision to see this world for what it is. Not a fantasy, not a paranoid nightmare or fairy tale, but a clear-eyed vision of hope and reason. All it takes is to wake up. All I've been trying these past few years is to awaken people to what could be. We could go to the stars. It's in the mind. The very depths of the mind where the revolution has to take place. It can't come in drips and drabs, but a transformation, a revolution.
The stars are nothing. I know that line.
It's from my book, The Shape of Things to Come. It was a prediction of the future.
I remember it from the movie. It was marvelous.
No, it wasn't. They got in the heart of my book. They put in a silly love story. It was rubbish. That is your Hollywood story.
Sometimes they need a hook.
My name is hook enough, is it not?
Of course, it was at the top of the marquee. H.G. Wells, Things to Come.
Instead of respecting my work, they used my name like a brand of soap.
Yes. Of course you'd be angry.
Not angry, frustrated.
If we did the interview, you could tell us everything, you know. You could tell us your fears for the future, your predictions.
I already have been. I don't need your invitation.
Tolstoy says
Doesn't he?
no.
Perhaps Tolstoy didn't have as demanded an editor as I do. I'm running out of time, Mr. Wells. I know my own needs. I need time. You have to convince me this is worth my time.
I'm setting this alarm clock for 30 minutes from now. That's all I ask. Just a half an hour of your time to convince you that this is in your best interest, that you need this interview.
Mr. Wells, I'm a scientist. I recently studied biology at school. And you are a curious specimen.
Thank you.
You're a bit outrageous telling me what's
Outrageous?
my own.
Well,
It's
it's
not
being
you
called
dictate
shit.
what's good for me. Why is it so for
No,
me?
I don't mean to dictate. I'm trying to offer you a gift. The greatest gift there is, the gift of an audience. You write books, silent words, but to speak aloud in front of an audience is like flying.
I do have many speaking engagements. That's why I'm in town.
It is lovely. Do you love it?
The difference is I engage with truth. What about you? You did theater, radio plays, make-believe.
There was a time when you dealt in a great deal of make-believe. Your books spanned the universe. You delighted in fantasy.
And why do you keep using the past tense?
Oh, I don't
Did you come here to flatter me or eulogize me?
It's marvelous. You have me there.
So we don't need to blather on the radio and relive your silly little triumph. We've moved on. Water over the dam. You're making movies, and I have many more books to write.
Would it impress you to know that I wrote a book once myself?
Did you?
Yes. On Shakespeare for young people. Very popular.
I don't know it.
That's still in print. I'll send you a copy.
Thank you. One book?
I illustrated
something?
it as well. I was originally supposed to be a painter, or at least my stepfather wanted me to be.
We can't put stop in what we were supposed to be. I was supposed to be a draper. Spent many unhappy hours as a boy at the tailor. My mother thought draper would be a secure living.
To insecurity in the arts. That's good, isn't it?
It's rather sweet. I have to be careful. Diabetic, you see.
Diabetic, I'm sorry.
I take care of myself.
I won't offer you a piece of this Hershey's bar then.
No, thank you. Insecurity in the arts. But you bring your own ticket. You jump the line and you're on top of the world.
I'm
aren't
trying.
you?
I don't know about jumping the line. I think I've worked for it.
You think so?
Yes.
You've done some kind of conjuring trick.
In a way. I do believe in magic.
Magic, is it?
Magic is everything.
Everything?
It's a higher truth.
One man's magic is another man's science.
If I can get you to believe in magic, you'll do the interview.
Try me.
For example, I could read your mind.
You could read my mind, can you?
I want you to think of a number. A small number between 1 and 10. Do you have it?
Yes.
Good. Now, I want you to multiply that number by 2. Then multiply it by 5. And divide it by the original number. And subtract 7. Do you have it?
Yes.
Good. Now, I want you to concentrate very hard. Yes, it's coming to me. Yes, you are thinking the number 3.
Astonishing.
Thank you.
Astonishing, you think I'd be impressed by a schoolboy trick I've done since before you were born.
Really?
Since before you were born, perhaps since before your father was born.
All
too.
right. My father has passed from this world.
I'm sorry.
No matter. This is fine bourbon. Reminds me of the whiskey I had in Ireland. I told you about Ireland.
Yes, you've done nothing to prove you're serious at all, Mr. Wells. This is all tomfoolery. You think your magic is some kind of higher calling? You've only bamboozled yourself.
I know you believe art is a higher calling. I know you do.
Ooh, it's a dangerous thing to worship at the altar of art. When a metaphor becomes reality, then propaganda sweeps away everything in its path. That's what your radio broadcast showed us all.
And did it matter?
As a warning.
Then it served a higher truth.
By accident, you certainly
But we can't always
do.
know where art will lead. We do our work.
And damn the consequences.
We do our work like blind sculptors who love the cool touch of the marble. And we can't always know. We put our work out there into the universe, and if it finds an audience, something happens. But we can't know. It's a gift, wrapped in a box, tied with a pretty blue bow that we give without ever realizing what's inside that box.
Like Pandora's box.
Yes, but that's the thing. Isn't hope the gift then?
Hope for what?
The hope to go on, ultimately. The hope to go on.
That's the first intelligent thing you've said all evening.
Really? Thank you, I appreciate that. Let's drink to it. 2 artists, mentor and mentee.
Careful, you're pandering again.
And I was so close.
I don't see you thinking you need anyone's mentoring.
I do. I don't have a good history of it. I have a stepfather, a grotesque sort of mother hen. I do want a mentor. He's a friend, if I'm being honest. Someone to show me the way. I like how blunt you are. You're honest. Everyone in Hollywood is phony. They lie to you. Problem with that is you never know who your real friends are and who's just sucking up to you.
Isn't that exactly what I've been saying about you?
You don't mean that.
The question is, are you willing to learn, to be mentored?
Yes, of course. I had a marvelous time on my film set with our cinematographer, teaching me all about cameras and lenses. Greg says you can learn everything you need to know in 24 hours. You've been on a film set.
I didn't have the power I should have.
Yes, it's frustrating.
Yes!
That's why I demanded complete creative control. And now if I could just finish it the way it needs to be done.
So this radio interview would help you raise the money?
Yes, you understand.
But Hollywood, really? It's not for art. It's not so very important. Does it matter in the world today, this world of 1940? We're on the brink, the very brink.
Yes, we are on the brink.
Your film won't matter if we destroy ourselves.
Do you think we will destroy ourselves?
Came to my lecture time.
Yes, you said we need to be prepared, possibly for the worst.
Do you know what I want written on my tombstone someday?
What?
I told you so, you damn fool!
I love
Maybe it won't even go so long. I may live to see it all happen.
it. You're forgetting about one thing, though, I think.
What?
That in the darkest times, a hero rises.
Oh.
This is a nice cowboy hat, I like it.
They gifted it to me. You Americans, you think a cowboy was theirs?
Well, maybe not one cowboy, but maybe a million cowboys.
Make a great deal of your Western myth.
It's our history.
History? A young country like yours has no history, so you invent myth.
We need a myth. We all do.
You have myth without the long, deep legacy that deserves it. You churn it out like a Model T Ford assembly
We don't
line.
have that long, deep history. We need to make it up.
Myth is something you have to earn. Don't chummy the line. Something you earn.
I like this hat. Myth and magic. That's what will save us in the end.
Reason and science.
One man's science is another man's magic. What we need is to go back to a common sense of wonder. We need to go back to magic. Let me try again. Let me show you. Might I borrow a coin? I never seem to have any money on me. Watch this coin very closely. You can't tell me no how I did that.
What the blast is
It's
this?
a telegram, it's not for you.
Good luck getting HG interviews. Stop. Worth a lot of money. Stop. Be sure to ask about Margaret Sanger. What, sir?
Margaret
Stop.
Sanger, you do get around.
Who is Hank?
My writing partner on the film.
Damn it, blast. You are an outrageous little shit. You worth a lot of money. That's all it would mean. You come here and pander and
I
lie.
think I'm using you.
Yes.
I should have said. I should say, I'm grateful to you. You made me famous, I know you did. Without you, I wouldn't be in Hollywood now. I wouldn't be making this film that's about to launch my career. Without you, I would still be spending my days in New York, running frantically between radio stations, spending my nights pouring my salary into theater productions that run for a month and disappear. But now I have the opportunity to make something that lasts, a production that lives well after we've all moved on. Lights that don't go out. It's a dream you can hold in your hand. When I discovered film, I was working on a movie project for a theater production. I spent a month with coils of film strewn about my room like the clothes of a lover that had just disrobed. That anticipation and repetition, practicing over and over and over again to refine that technique, trimming every extraneous bit until it's just the act, just the moment of action, just pure dream action. I'm using you? Maybe I am. I think I'd sell my own mother to keep doing this. To keep living this life, to keep dreaming this bright and shadowy dream. I'm pleading with you, hat in hand.
My hat?
Yes, your hat.
You're telling me the truth now, aren't you?
My inmost heart.
Still, Hollywood, I'd advise you to forget it.
And do
Your heart will
what?
be broken. Radio, theater, anything else.
Yes, but I've already conquered those things.
Conquered? What is it about conquering?
It's all about conquering.
Conquering whom?
The ghosts! We have a dent in this bottle. Another? I still have time on the clock. Now that I've accidentally insulted you, I need a chance to make that up.
You're running out of time.
Thank you.
You're stuck in some kind of dream. Your inmost heart.
It's a love affair. And unfortunately for me, I'm in love with a very expensive mistress.
My mistresses have never demanded expense.
Margaret Sanger? Really?
She's nice and a sarong on a rainy day. I have the photograph.
Ah, she's handsome for her age.
She's not so old.
No, she's not so old. No one minds.
My first wife minded, so she let me go. My second wife and I believed in free love completely. She's gone now since 27.
I'm sorry. My wife is divorcing me.
Ah,
Apparently I'm over fond of ballerinas.
that's too bad.
I don't think it was ever really about the ballerinas. She knows a man wants a fresh audience. That's all we really want, isn't it? Not a fresh body in our beds every night, but a fresh audience for our stories.
I don't know about that. The sexual instinct is a very important drive for an artist. A deep well of our creativity, a source of passion and power. Some women understand that.
Yes?
Try a piece of that.
Would it be alright?
A small bit would hurt. The idea that a sexual affair should ruin a man like Hurst is barbaric. It's So what if he took a fancy to that actress? What should it matter?
You don't think she just made a fool of him?
She is a bright young thing. I've met them, of course. Had lunch at the castle.
Oh, fantastic.
He followed her around like a lost puppy. He is a lost soul.
Yes, a tragic figure, a lost soul. That is what my film is all about.
I could use a proper meal.
Oh, I have peanuts.
Oh, good, give them here. Though they'll make me thirsty.
I'll get you a glass of water. It's a shame we don't have any ice.
Why are you Americans so obsessed with ice? Cold drinks aren't
A cold drink is America's contribution to civilization.
You're right about that. As useless as everything else, like the extra E in your name.
You know, my last name would have been spelled just like yours. That is, if my father hadn't changed it despite his parents.
So, he was independent, a free man.
Yes, my father was a free man. And a drunk. Absolutely a drunk. Drank himself to death. Or maybe I killed him. He invented the automobile, you know.
Why do I not believe you?
It was something like that. Besides, we have more than just our last name in common. HG stands for Herbert George, doesn't it?
That's right.
My first name is also George. George Orson. I'm named after two homosexual men my mother met on a cruise in the Caribbean. They were in theater.
Is that true?
I don't know what's true. But it's a good story. And a good story deserves to be kept.
I have a feeling stories are good to you like wind-blown seeds.
Call me a dandelion. What do your friends call you, HG?
Bertie.
Bertie. I'll call you Mr. Wells.
And I you.
What will our children say of us, I wonder?
You have children.
Yes, a baby girl.
Keep her close.
I will.
They can be headstrong. My daughter is so stubborn. I give her my best advice not to marry this young fool, and just as you please, she marries him as if my opinion would count. Do you understand young people today?
I hardly understand myself. But you have a daughter. I thought you only had sons.
I mean in the street. My natural daughter. I wasn't happy with her mother's choice of husband either, but she's always said it was worth it to have our Jane.
That's good. I envy her. No regrets.
You're rather young to regret anything.
Your letter to our president. We need to get working. We're running out of time.
Yes, running out of time. That's the thrust of my letter.
Why don't you share this letter? Read it aloud on our interview. An open letter to the nation.
I prefer the intimacy of a private communication. The public isn't all ready to hear the whole truth. I held back in my speech tonight. It won't do to overwhelm people.
Yes, I suppose I've experienced that.
In your foolish way, yes. Enough tomfoolery. I've tried in the past to warn the public. All it got me was that silly movie. You see? You're wasting your time, Hollywood.
It's unfortunate that your film didn't say what you wanted it to.
Oh, it was a great frustration to predict everything. You see this book? I'm sending an autographed copy with the letter. I wrote it in 1906.
In the days of the comet. He wrote this before things to come.
Yes, in it I predicted the Great War, I predicted the League of Nations and also its failure, and the current war. Don't people see what's coming? A horrific war that will destroy Europe. After a war will come plagues of poverty for generations. Worse than the Great Depression.
Do you think so?
I know so. I was right about the other things.
Yes, I remember all those predictions from the movie. And that wonderful line when they're flying off to the moon. The stars are nothing. Which shall it be? Which shall it be? Very soul-stirring.
Bah! They wouldn't let me get a word in about how the movie should be made. They left out everything important. I had no voice. I had things to say. Have things to say. But your wretched Hollywood made a mess of it. Oh, I'd have given anything for them to make them the way it should have been made.
Then let's make it. The right way. See here, this book. In the Days of the Comet. That's the movie to make.
You read it?
Of course.
No way, it led up to things to come.
It's every bit as important. Prescient.
It does have a dramatic story, visually.
That's what I was thinking. You'd make a wonderful film.
But must anyone do it?
What we need is what they call a treatment.
Do you think so?
Yes, of course. We'll get everything sorted, and once my film comes out, we'll do yours next. Days of the Comet by H.G. Wells. Remind me, the young man's name?
Willie Ledford.
Yes, Willie Ledford, a young man scraping by.
Yes, you remember how he put his name in his door?
Yes, he can't afford to get married.
Yes, living with his mother.
Yes, the sainted church-going mother.
He doesn't believe in the church.
It was so powerful that their conflict. It was
Yes.
very emotional. Came from deep within you.
Oh, you're right about that. My own experience with my mother.
See, I knew you had to be drawing from life. You're an unbeliever.
Oh, she cried when I told her I was an atheist. But comforted herself knowing at least I hadn't turned Catholic.
But in the middle of the night, in the dark night of the soul.
I sleep peacefully.
That's good. I envy you. No ghosts.
You said something about your father before.
Willie Ledford, a young man and in love.
Yes, Nellie.
Nellie! It was so moving. His pining for her.
Pining. Yes, that's
And
it.
there was
That bitch idiot Beryl.
Beryl! Yes, the hated rival. You understand jealousy so well.
Another irrational emotion. I don't get it, but I see it everywhere. And we must stamp it out from me.
Yes, this book makes that so clear.
I shocked people when it came out. You caused quite a stir when our film hit those small towns with their provincial ideas.
That struck me, your utter lack of provincialism.
We're men of the world.
This book lays it all on the line.
Rational relationships, to love whom we love freely.
Yes, putting that on screen will shock all those sleepy villages. Willie's clothes are worn threadbare. Beryl cuts an elegant figure in his tailored suit, and Willie's mother,
Hard-working, long-suffering.
her hands are red and rough. She cooks for him and mends his threadbare clothes.
See it all. This could really work.
Yes, it's a wonderful story, made for pictures.
Who would star it, do you think? Some well-known star? Or a new actor, Discovery, perhaps? That might be totally good. What do you think?
Either is a good option, but Willie Ledford, a young man in love, and he has a plan.
Yes, he buys a gun with his last £4.
Chekhov's gun.
He hasn't the money to trade.
Well, it's 1906. He doesn't have a
Should
car.
we keep it in 1906 or update it?
Well, that's a good question. I'm thinking update.
Yes, it would have more power in a world more people are familiar with.
So no train fare. He needs to think quickly.
Seize the coins in the drawer while the rector babbles to him.
Babbling rector.
Cycles, and I see it all.
Yes.
When the comet
The
comes,
comet, yes!
your understanding of the technology will be really depict that comet in the sky.
Yes, it'll be a marvelous effect.
Brilliant light with its green
The
tail.
green tail, the green light.
Running on the beach after another, shooting the gun.
Bang!
And the green light, the atmosphere thick with the green light. Will you shoot it in England?
What?
The movie on location.
Ah, but there's many good options. Right now I'm more used to the studio, but the green light, how it swallows them.
Yes, swallows them. That's very good. It's all like a dream.
It's a dream.
Everyone falls, ships crash, trains derail.
Oh, that's good.
Automated machines keep going with no human masters to stop them. The press is running. All the paper is used up. The press is bang on in a mad cacophony. Everyone falls. The birds in the sky. Animals in their tracks. Everyone falls asleep, swallowed in the green light.
Swallow.
Until the misty dawn when everything is changed.
Yes, the dawning of a new day.
Yes, exactly. You have it. The world we could have. The new world.
The new
Oh,
world.
this is wonderful. I can say what I meant. I can tell people what I want to do in things to come. This time my voice will be heard because you really understand.
You want to be heard.
It was always about the future.
The scene with the comet. Show it to me.
The green light swallows them. He passes out in darkness. You remember how he wakes up?
Yes.
He sees a mouse. It seems dead. No birds are singing. All is dead silent. Birds littered on the ground. He thinks he's died. Shouldn't you be tired?
Ah, it's all in my head. The third act. The movie always has 3 acts.
Yes, the third is that new world of hope and reason.
See, that is what I admire about you. About your work. This book. That hope for the future. That's what it's all about. Hope!
I've never been stuck in the past, you see. In a way, what I've always been is a historian of the future.
I like that. A historian of the future.
A futurist. When I was young, it didn't matter that I was poor and stuck in a dirty little shop. One lives in one's mind.
Yes.
You understand me?
Yes, the green light and a new dawn for mankind.
Yes, so after the treatment, you write the script.
I need to finish Citizen Kane.
Yes, of course, but this is something. I see it. The comet, the green light.
So you were very poor as a child.
Poor enough. Poor enough that all I had to call my own was up here in my head.
Fascinating.
Went to school on a government scholarship. The other boys were, well, perhaps like you, well off.
Yes, that was me. But even when you have money, all you really have is up here, as you say.
Yes. I remember one day I used up my weekly ration, and towards the end of the week I couldn't afford to eat at midday. And one fellow, like a dear friend, insisted on paying. Meat, 2 veg, jam roly-poly, a glass of beer. I only had to pay that one time. I always remember that meal. Meat, 2 veg, jam, meat, 2 veg, jam, roly, meat, 2 veg, jam, roly, meat, 2 veg, jam, roly, oranges.
Bertie, can you chew? Bertie, I need you to eat this, all right? Please do not let me be the man who killed H.G. Wells. Yes, front desk? Yes, I'm here with Mr. Wells. He's diabetic.
I'm all right.
Are you sure? Yes, thank you, front desk.
I'm all right. I'm all right.
Yes, thank you. He'll be all right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm all right now. Thank God. Just needed a bit to eat.
How are you feeling?
You aren't rid of me that easily.
Good.
There was a time when I was young. I became gravely ill, coughing up a great deal of phlegm and blood. We all thought I would die. I tried to make light of it. When you're dying, sometimes you feel it's your job to cheer up everyone else. But I didn't die.
You didn't die.
It was a tough world in those days. Tough to scrape along, hungry and poor. People so poor they were afraid to hope. Isn't that the cruelest of all? To be afraid to hope? We have a choice. To go on like lunatics, or to build a future worth hoping for. It's the greatest choice we have. I told the president that.
It's good you have his ear. He'll listen to you.
I don't care about those romances I wrote when I was in my 20s. I have more important things to say.
Yes.
But I am seeing your point. Put it in some form of entertainment. Maybe that is the way to convince people. I'm excited.
I'm excited too.
You made me see it. We had a real meeting of the mind. You made me see it, the movie in my mind. If you want to be a filmmaker, well, you are a filmmaker. I think you can be a great one.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Wells.
Bertie.
Bertie. Here. I'm very glad I didn't kill you just now. Get me very worried.
You said something odd before about killing your father.
Yes, that. My headmaster in school, really the only real father figure I ever had, told me it might be best if I cut off contact with my father until he stopped drinking. He died a few months later. Officially, it was due to organ failure because of the booze, but there were rumors that he had,
That's tough, old chap.
what about your father? Did he teach you about the stars?
All he wanted was to play cricket. His dream was to turn professional. Obsessed with cricket. My mother left him eventually. She worked as a lady's maid in a brown house. I learned about class and inequality there. But my father taught me the critical faculty, you see. Though he wasn't a scientist or philosopher, he was a skeptic. critical. I owe him that insight. If nothing else, teach your child that. Not to accept things at face value.
I will.
So, you convince me. I'll do the interview. You can call them and let them know.
Mr. Wells. Thank you. It will be a marvelous interview. Everyone will talk about it.
Shall we announce our film?
What?
Our film in the days of the comet. Shall we announce it on this radio interview? That would be a solution.
It's still early days. We need a studio to make backing it and all that. Rest assured, once Citizen Kane comes out, I'll have people lining up to make my movies. And your film will be my next project. So the station is KTSA, either at 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock?
Yes, perhaps best to be there a little early so they can test out the microphones, say 5:45.
But how do they know?
Huh?
Already know we'll be there.
Wonderful to meet you. I really should be going. The rain has stopped, the perfect hour, and now the dawn.
Orson
Yes?
had seen in my book.
Yes?
Now movie. You really should say.
Yes?
You don't think it's too violent?
No, not at all.
Shooting her dead?
What a wonderful way to startle the audience. When I got to that part, I about jumped out of my seat. And his remorse? We won't have a dry eye in the house.
Damn it, blast you bastard! Son of a bitch!
What?
His
What?
idea said tonight, be lie, everything! You never read my book. Willie doesn't shoot Ellie. He never kills her.
I forgot.
You never read the book. You were pretending the whole time. You calculated.
No calculation. I improvise.
You already told them I would do the interview. They're planning on me. They have been all along.
These things need to be
You
scheduled, Bertie.
manipulated me for your interview, to use me to ride on my coattails for your own game, for some stupid publicity. What do I care about your movie? Why do I care for your movie and against it? Get out, you lying bastard!
I
Get
can't.
out!
Just let me have it.
Who do you think I am? I've written over 50 books. I'm the most famous writer in the known world. I've been everywhere. I've met everyone. Roosevelt, Lenin, Stalin. I predicted this war years ago. I predicted what comes next. I'm not a relic of the past. I'm not a dead Victorian. I invented futurism. I invented science fiction. I invented free love. I predicted radio. I predicted you. I invented you. I'm still doing it. I'm relevant, I'm alive, and I will not be defined or buried by you. I'm as alive as you. I'm as much a part of the modern world as you or anyone. I'm a modern man. I'm the face of modernity. I belong to the future, and the future belongs to me.
Tell you the truth now, for what it's worth.
Why are you still
You
here?
see it.
I see it.
The article on the front page that says you and I are here at the same time. You see
I
that?
see it.
Whose picture did they decide to run?
Yours.
Yes, mine. Do you know how old I was the first time I was on the front page of a newspaper?
What of it?
I was 10. 10 years old. The headline read, cartoonist, actor, poet, and only 10 years old. For as long as I can remember, I've been destined to be some kind of a genius. This weight of expectation like a boulder, like a wheel spinning in my life. I couldn't just write. I had to write a newspaper column at 14. I couldn't just read about Shakespeare. I had to write a book on him at 16. I couldn't dabble in art. I had to illustrate that book and design every poster and set piece, write every press release and star in every show. Julius Caesar had to be about Brutus because I was Brutus. And now at RKO, I'm the director, the writer, the producer, the star. And every single bastard in Hollywood is waiting on one thing, for me to fail. For me to fall flat on my face at last and prove that I was nothing but a spoiled child whose parents pretended he was some kind of a genius. A child who has to be taught that he was nothing but a fake who fooled everyone. Including himself. I need this publicity to raise the money. I need to outdo myself here, now, or I'm nothing and never was anything. All that publicity and hype was all as fake as that War of the Worlds broadcast. I can't. can't fail. So please, don't let me fail. All I ask is one thing.
What?
When you were my age, when you wrote War of the Worlds, you made something that would last forever. I only want the same, to have what you have.
It was 50 years.
You said it, that flame never goes out. Always a new match to strike. I'll never forget that. You won't give up, well, neither will I. Thank you for your time. If you change your mind, the station is KTSA at 6 o'clock. If you think that all I was all evening was a phony, don't come. I wouldn't want you to.
I'm rather tired.
Good night, sweet prince, and flights of angels sing thee to thy rest.
That's the death scene, Olsen. I'm not dead.
No. I dare say you aren't. Good night.
Damn and blast if he didn't do it! Damn and blast!
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Charles C. Shaw speaking. KTSA is honored this evening by the presence in our studio of two great men. The Honorable H.G. Wells, world-famous British historian, author, and student of world affairs, and Mr. Orson Welles, the genius of stage, screen, and radio. This is the first time that Mr. H.G. Wells and Mr. Orson Welles have appeared together. In fact, they met for the first time only yesterday in San Antonio. But this is not the first time that their names have been linked. 2 years ago, Mr. Orson Welles adapted Mr. H.G. Wells's book, The War of the Worlds, for radio purposes, and you know the rest. Revising the story somewhat, Mr. Orson Welles depicted an invasion of the United States by men from Mars, and although he mentioned several times during the broadcast that it was fictitious, the country at large was scared almost out of its wits. Men phoned up radio stations, volunteering to enlist against the Martians. Others became panic-stricken. The realism of the production, frightening though it was, is a testament to the genius of Mr. Orson Welles. Thus, the name of Welles, H.G. Wells and Orson Welles, became linked. Mr. H.G. Wells, in the opinion of many, is the world's most famous man of letters. He is here in San Antonio to speak to the United States Brewers Association. And Mr. Orson Welles is here for a town hall forum address on Wednesday. At this meeting of great minds, I feel rather inconspicuous. And the less I have to say, the better you listeners will like it. But first, might I interest you gentlemen in a discussion of Mr. Orson Welles' production of Mr. H.G. Wells's book, The War of the Worlds?
Are you turning the interview over to us, sir?
I am for the moment.
He's turning it over to us. Well, I've had a series of most delightful experiences since I came to America. But the best thing so far is meeting my little namesake here, Orson. I find him a most delightful character of a name, with an extra E I hope he'll drop sooner or later. See no sense in it. And I've known of his work before he made this sensational Halloween spree. Are you sure it was such a panic in America? Wasn't it just your Halloween fun?
I think that's about the nicest thing a man from England could say about the men from Mars. Mr. Hitler did make a great deal of sport of it in his Munich speech. There was even floats in the Nazi parade.
Not much else to say.
That's it, not much else to say at all. It was supposed to show the state of affairs in Western democracies, the fact that the War of the Worlds went over as well as it did. But I think it was rather overblown.
Well, that was our opinion in England. We had stories about it. And people said, have you never heard of Halloween in America where everybody pretends to see ghosts?
Well, I do think there was some excitement caused. I don't want to belittle the amount caused, but I think that everybody got over it very quickly.
But what kind of excitement? I think Mr. H.G. Wells is asking whether or not the sort of excitement was similar to what we'd extract from a practical joke. For example, if someone puts a sheet over their head and pretends that they're a ghost, I don't believe anyone truly believes that they are a ghost, but we do yell and scream and run down the hall all the same. And I think that's about what happened.
That is a very excellent description.
You aren't quite serious in America yet. You haven't got the war right under your chins, and the consequences, you can still play with the idea of terror and conflict.
And do you think that that's good or bad?
It's a natural thing to do until you're right up against it.
So it ceases to be a game?
Until it ceases to be a game.
Now, here's a thought. Some of Mr. H.G. Wells's writings have been termed fantastic. And a few years ago, well, may they have been conceived as such. The Shape of Things to Come, which told of a long internecine war, is such a fantasy. But Mr. Orson Welles, do you really think it's so fantastic, given the events of today?
I think it's certainly not so fantastic a view. One question that Mr. Wells has spoken of, not only in The Shape of Things to Come, prophesying a return to feudalism after a long, wasting war. In his recent lecture, Mr. Wells said he just recently commenced to ask himself whether or not mankind should emulate the phoenix. Perhaps the time had come to look ahead to the future. Mr. Wells's future, which we've always loved but never truly understood, is suddenly upon us. We're living right now in that famous H.G. Wells future we've all read about.
And wasn't it you, Mr. Orson Welles, who presented for the first time in modern times a play without settings or scenery in your Caesar?
Yes. Well, you really can't have a play without settings. There must be something behind the actor, and you need to look at something.
Very simple settings. I had an extraordinary experience once. I saw Ellen Terry's son.
Oh, yes.
His production of Hamlet.
Do you mean Gielgud?
No.
Oh, Gielgud is a relation of Ellen Terry.
Well, never mind his name for the moment, but I saw a production of Hamlet in Moscow in Russia.
The Stanislavski production.
No, I am sorry.
I'm terribly sorry.
And that was done with screens and nothing else, and it was done in Russian. I knew my Hamlet pretty well, and all the time I thought I was listening to the English play. You understand?
Yes, wonderful.
Now, before we get away from this microphone, tell me about this film of yours that you've been producing. You're a producer, aren't you?
That's right.
Art director, you're everything.
Well, Mr. Wells,
What's the film called?
it's called Citizen Kane.
Citizen Kane, yes.
Citizen-
Not C-A-I-N.
No, K-A-N-E, and this is
Kane.
of course the kindest,
Ah, yes.
most gracious possible thing to do. Mr. Wells is making it possible for me to do what in America is spoken of as a plug. And he understands.
You like-
Fine old American.
I don't understand these words. Yes.
You understand the value, however. Mr. Wells wants me to tell you that I have made a motion picture, and he is kind enough to ask me a leading question concerning it.
I'm looking forward to it.
Very kind, sir. It's a new sort of motion picture with a new method of presentation and a few new technical experiments, a few new methods of telling a picture, not only from the point of view of writing, but of showing it.
If I don't misunderstand you completely, I think there'll be a lot of jolly good new noises in it.
I hope so. Jolly good new noises are what that motion pictures could well afford these days. I hope you're right, and I hope there are some jolly good new noises. I can think of nothing more desirable than motion picture.
Is that it?
Apparently, 24 minutes.
A long-winded introduction. We took all our
It
time.
would seem so, wouldn't it?
Perhaps it did the trick.
I want to thank you.
Edward Crane, damn!
What?
The actor whose name I forgot who did Hamlet in Moscow I talked about.
Yes.
I wish I'd remembered. I should have been more prepared.
Not at all, don't worry.
I must have seemed to forget you.
Not at all.
They gave us so little time. I thought this was some kind of important moment, our meeting like this.
It was to me.
Quite.
Would you like to go out for dinner?
I don't think
We can
so.
talk theater.
No, thank you. I have a train to catch. This was a short stop on a long journey.
My speech is tomorrow night on the future of theater. I suppose you'll have to miss that now.
Yes, that's right. Why don't you give this ticket to that long-winded announcer or ballerina, perhaps?
I would have preferred you.
Future of theater, during movies. Theater won't be as exciting. On to the next thing.
Maybe. You never know.
What else are you doing? Good day.
Are you headed to the East Coast?
That's right.
Tell Margaret hello for me in her sarong.
In the words of a great man, I'll say hello to her for you if I remember. I've got a great deal on my mind. So much going on.
Of course.
Goodbye, Mr. Wells.
Goodbye, Mr.